Maria McLauchlan remembers writing the ultimate leaving home song. I'm John Beaudin from rockhistorymusic.com. This is a tune that literally stopped me in my tracks. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, one of the reasons I do these videos is to share some of my musical experiences with you. And I hope they resonate with you. And I think a lot of us share the same stories, where we have certain tunes that literally make us stop in our tracks and stare at the speakers and say, he's talking to me, or he's talking about me. Before I even bought records, I heard a song on the radio that gave me a sense of perspective that I didn't know even existed. I wondered if I was even allowed to have it. I was 11, and this unknown singer with a truly distinctive voice brought me along to this bittersweet, lonesome, frightening last turn around his parents' house, his old bedroom before he left home. Not being a teen yet, the thought of leaving my parents for me was a foreign thought. But it's the great songwriters who remind us where we're kind of at on the map and where we could be. When it comes to great singer-songwriters in Canada, true legends, Maria McLauchlan has been in that club for over 40 years. So after all these years, even though I own a few Maria McLauchlan interviews here, I didn't do them, but I inherited these interviews. I haven't even listened to them yet. When I knew I was going to talk to him, I had to ask him, who was the guy? Do you remember the guy who wrote Child Song?
Intimately. I mean, it was one of the most interesting experiences of my life when it was Bernie Finkelstein who got the ball rolling, but Bernie and myself and another person were going through all of the material that we were going to present for a career compilation. And for me, it was the experience of, like, if you were a kid and you kept a diary, but you kept it going for your entire life. All of those songs are kind of entries in a diary. So it's kind of a real interesting A-B, like to compare what you were going through and the person you were when you were 19 years old, which is how old I was when I wrote that song, with who you are now. Interestingly enough, Bart Scholes, who used to do all of the graphics work for True North Records, had an interesting take. You know, Bart used to say that the purpose of life is not to turn into somebody when you're 85 that you would have hated when you were 15. Wow. And, that was a big kind of A-B for me, because you don't become somebody you don't like all at once. You become somebody that you don't like by increments, by little, 1,000 cuts, by compromising here or compromising there, or doing, the wrong thing when it's easier, or not ponying up and taking the blame when you should. The things that kind of drain the morality out of you are the things he was talking about. And it was an experience for me to look at all those songs and to go, yeah, I didn't come with a guidebook. I had very little help from my father in terms of, what you're supposed to do. So I made a tremendous number of really, really serious mistakes. Do I regret making them? No, I don't, because, well, there's a really great episode of Star Trek. Are you a Star Trek fan? No. Sorry, there will be lots of people who are, and they'll know this episode. What happens is Picard, the captain of the Enterprise, has an opportunity to live his life over. It's given to him by an omnipotent being called Q. So he gets to live his entire life over and not make all of the goofy mistakes that he made, including picking a bar fight with an enormous alien called a Nausicaan who stabbed him in the back right through the heart. So Picard winds up in this new life that he's given from Q, never rising above ensign. He never becomes a captain. He never takes the chances. He never becomes the decision maker. He never becomes the leader. He never takes the chances that only young people do, because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who do crazy things in the skateboard park, not realizing that they could wind up in a wheelchair, and that's how they're supposed to be.
Child Song was also recorded by Tom Rush. Maria McLauchlan's brand new album is Love Can't Tell Time. It's one of his best, and there's a wink in his eye as he's playing these songs, tunes that he enjoys playing.
There's sort of two different types of song material on the record. Three, obviously, people would recognize as standards. Mm-hmm. They're songs like that I was exposed to when I was coming up as a kid in some cases. The radio of my youth, when I was before my teen years, what I'd be listening to at night was very, very eclectic. In those days, music wasn't siloed like it is now. You didn't have country stations. You didn't have rock, urban. You didn't have all these subcategories of music that were like political parties. You're in that or you're not in that, or you're in this or you're not that, or people didn't wear it like a shirt. So as a result, I could hear Guy Mitchell singing Green Door back to back with Patsy Cline, back to back with the Champs doing Tequila, back to back with, in this case, a Rosemary Clooney song from a musical called Pajama Game, which was called Hey There. And it's a song it's found its way into my heart more in my later years because, like many men, way back in the distant past, I fell disastrously and stupidly in love, and it was not requited. And so for me, that song is kind of like a shout back down through the halls of time to my late 20-year-old self going, oh, brother, just think twice here. So there's that. There's standards like Come Fly With Me, which is, I've, like Joni Mitchell, I've looked at clouds from both sides now, but for real. As an aviator, that's my tune. So, there's that set of tunes, and the really uplifting one's an old Jerome Kern song called Pick Yourself Up, which I kind of bang away to myself whenever I'm feeling kind of down. I always have. I've always loved that song. So there are songs that attach themselves to me in some way.
When I was a radio programmer, a music director, program director, I one day discovered, I thought, this is a good song. Everyone's playing it, but how does it make you feel? And then I went from there to listening to albums now and then and go, I bet you that musician loves playing that song. And eventually I'd get to talk to them. Half the time I was right. I'd go, that must be fun to play in concert. And that's something you've talked about with this album, that these are songs that you love to play. That's true.
I mean, my core is that I've discovered, again, for the second time around, that what I really love to do is play music. It's as simple as that. And what I love to do is play music that has some, it's a bit like an onion. You have to peel back a lot of layers to get to the center of it. The thing about the other songs on the record, the songs that are co-writes in some cases, or that I wrote with partners, by myself, is that I went to school on why songs by people like, lyricists like Sammy Cahn, or, the seemingly simple little ditties of Cole Porter, like why they work so well, why they wound up attaching themselves in so many cases to people and to me. So having gone to school on that kind of stuff, it was an easy get for me when I came, I'll give you an example if you've got the patience. My brother, he's the original Don Draper. The Madman guy. Yeah, he was an advertising guy, seriously big, good advertising guy. And we got into a kind of a dare match, like songwriting, how hard can it really be? Moon, June, frickin' spoon. And, I said, okay, so send me some lyrics and we'll try and write something together for a laugh. So he sent me a lyric, and, it sucked, but there was a kind of a core in there. Like what he sent me was one of the lines was, "Don't mess with my martini, I like it on the rocks," blah, blah, blah. And it just did not swing at all. It was just leaden in its poetry. So I went back to the well and I thought, okay, what would Sammy Cahn do with this? Because Sammy Cahn's lyrics work a lot because he's a master of what we in the trade call ethnic inversion. In short, like when Sammy Cahn would write a line like, my kind of town, Chicago is, like Sinatra would sing. Yeah. What he was really doing was writing like an old Jewish guy would sing, my kind of town, Chicago is. So it's called an ethnic inversion. So I took my brother's line, "Don't mess with my martini, I like it on the rocks," and went, okay, what would Sammy do? And so I switched it around and went, "My martini, not a thing you should mess with."
So I was going to say, is that your son as a co-write of that song?
No, it's my brother. Yes, my brother.
Maria McLaughlin's new album is Love Can't Tell Time. You can get it now. There'll be links below our video in the description. We'll have more chats, more talks with Maria McLaughlan in the next couple of weeks. If you don't know this artist, I'm not going to say you should, because maybe it's not your thing, but at least give him a chance and listen to this guy, especially for the folks who are outside Canada, because everyone in Canada knows who Maria McLaughlan is. Make sure you comment on our videos and subscribe to our channel and share our videos. This is John Beaudin from Rock History Music.